Hi, this is Kevin Eastman, co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you're listening to me on another Geek Fried podcast. Why? Yeah!
Thank you very much.
You're listening to Gentlemanly Chats. Oh, yeah, baby.
Hi, this is Kevin Eastman, co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you're listening to me on another Geek Fried podcast. Why? Yeah!
Thank you very much.
You're listening to Gentlemanly Chats. Oh, yeah, baby. Cool. Hello and welcome to Gentlemanly Chats. I am the legendary beard, Monsieur Michel Orvis. I don't know why I did it French. I did. And that's a thing now, and we have to live with it. With me today, not in person, but in spirit and over the internet, is comedian, owner of a beard, and creator of the hit webcomic series Talking Shapes. It's Mr. Sandy Wardrop.
Hello, Michelle Orvis. Is this what we have to call you now? Is it? I've listened to like one or two episodes of your podcast, but is it a case that every week it's a different language, or
No.
I mean, is this a feature now that we have to do?
No, I've been doing international calling for work, for the day job, and I had to use more French than I thought I'd need.
Oh wow! Are you a French speaker? Are you?
No.
No, you just. I will say it in an accent.
Do you speak? How you say it? It's in English. No. I learned a bit at the start of the year. I was committed to learning on Duolingo, and then I've sort of let it fall by the wayside, basically because I got too sad to learn a language.
Right.
Which is a weird thing to say, but yeah. And I've got passable French, like I got a C in GCSE, so I'd know enough to probably get around. But if someone started asking me about, existentialism, I'd be like,
l'existentialisme.
je ne comprends pas. Parlez plus lentement, s'il vous plaît, je suis stupide.
That's probably, Jean-Paul Sartre, and everyone will go, and then that's all you need, Je pense, et donc je suis. Is that him? That is. No, is that Descartes? Do you know? I don't know.
I'm sure he was French though. Descartes. He was good French for the cart or these carts.
There's some carts. Yeah. Descartes.
Some carts. See, terrible at French. Okay. But yeah, I was talking to this one woman, and we're doing these surveys. I can't really say anything else because it's all confidential.
Naturally.
But I'm conducting some surveys, and I was like, "How do you feel about British products?" She's like, "Excuse me, I do not know the how you say is it English?" And I was like, le produit anglais. She's like, oui, le produit anglais. And I was like, fuck me, like I'm having to pull it out of the bag here. Mentally prepared for this. Anyway, for those of you that are listening for the first time, why the fuck are you listening to Level, episode 6 of, well, it might be 7. I don't know if a podcast has gone out before this yet, but why are you listening to this episode of the 3rd series of a long-running podcast? It's really strange. But hello, I'm glad to have you here.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
Maybe because Sandy's here, and that's fine. But this is a slice-of-life podcast about geekery and nonsense. That's the overarching term. That basically means I can waffle on about whatever the fuck I like, and we can keep putting it on Geek Pride.
That's a nice remake, isn't it? That's good. Just whatever. That's a good brief. I mean, did you have to pitch that first, or was it just like, I might go for it?
No. We were doing the Geek... right, so it was my idea that we did the Geek Pride podcast. I was like, why don't we do a Geek Pride podcast? Then I got slowly sort of eked out of it because they keep doing it when I'm not available.
Right.
And I fell out with half of Geek Pride for a bit and was like, fuck you all. And then they all left, so like I'm here. But I was like, I want to do a more personal one about me and my mate Nick and like us growing up, and then me and Nick don't really talk anymore, so it kind of the podcast died and became Gentlemanly Chats, and so that I could have extra guests on, it didn't seem weird going, hello, welcome to Mike and Nick's Gentlemanly Chats, Nick isn't here again. And then I kind of really gave up on podcasting, and now we're on season 3, the new Gentlemanly Chats, just like the new Adventures of Batman and Robin.
Nice.
And now I just kind of have a random guest on every week.
Ah.
Most of the time it's Graham Waller, just because he happens to be around the road. I only realised that you are from, like, I don't know if you want me to tell you where you live, but I now know the vicinity of where you live. I'm super close. I could have just come over and we could have done this with a laptop.
Well, I thought are you not in Medway these days? In the old...
Yeah, I'm in Medway, but are you not in Sittingbourne?
No.
Oh, where are you now?
Alright, that's
It said Sittingbourne on your Skype, and I was like, fuck, he's like only around the
corner.
corner.
Oh no, I'll say that on Skype, because I don't think I've updated my details in about 12 years. No, I live in the east of England. I live in Peterborough these days.
Oh, Christ,
so,
that's too far.
Probably.
Bollocks to that.
I mean, you're welcome to come around. Like, I've got a...
I lived in the woods in Peterborough for 3 days.
By choice?
For a charity event. Yeah, for a charity thing. Me and my mate, again, Graham, decided to do some stuff for Crisis. And we went and lived in the woods. We made a shelter and lived in the woods for 3 days.
I didn't know we had any woods.
It was next to a diving lake, and it was supposed to be a week, but we got very miserable and our water supply ran out, and we stupidly had misread something about boiling water. We tried to make a water filter and then it broke, and we were like, oh fuck. So it was like, we can stay here for another 4 days, but we would be using drinking water, which some people don't have access to, so I don't feel like that's right. And we were both fucking miserable. We were like, we've raised the money, we're coming home, fuck this. So yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah.
And then Crisis were incredibly rude, and we've vowed to never support them again. Now I give money to St Mungo's, which is a homeless charity.
Nicely done. I used to when I was doing stand-up, I did some work with Porchlight in Canterbury, and I literally taught homeless people or people resident in their hostel
how to tell jokes.
Literally, I did stand-up workshops with them.
The art of comedy. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
cool.
I don't think any of them are now performing on Live at the Apollo or anything, but they did then go on to do, some of them did tours of Canterbury, and they did homeless tours of Canterbury, so it was like an alternative tour, stuff you won't hear in the history books. They'd be like, here's where to get a cheap meal, here's the best spot for sleeping at night. It was like, oh, brilliant.
That's amazing. That's actually amazing. Anyway, so for those of you that don't know of Sandy and his work, the man is a human inferno of creativity. He does, every time I look at him on social media, which I'm oft to do.
We've got a little bit of an internet bromance.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. So I met Sandy years ago, 2009, and we were in bands, not together, but bands that played together. And I used to wear his band's t-shirt, he used to wear my band's t-shirt, and we used to play shows together. And now, in a weird twist of fate, I actually play quite regularly with that band's guitarist in a new band.
Oh, do you?
I play with Joe Green.
Oh, right, yeah. Time. Well, he played bass after I left, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I thought you meant Mark. Crikey, I was like, but we know Mark Graham will never collaborate with anyone anymore because he's just too good on his own.
Yeah, although he did produce the album art for the Night Beast single for Glitterwolf. So
legend!
Well
I need
done,
to look at that.
Legend. Oh, it's fucking great.
I love Mark's art.
The art, not the single. Yeah, we're fucking brilliant.
No, don't do yourself down. Be a fan of your own work, because
well, yeah. I mean, it is. I was actually remarking on this, and again, I keep talking about fucking Graham. What? Marry him already? But I'm in a band with Graham, and we were going through the album. We've all but finished it now, so we were going through the album track by track, and I was like, Graham, he's like, yeah. I was like, I would listen to this. Whereas there's a lot of Callous stuff that honestly I don't think I would, and there's a whole lot of stuff I've done for clients that I wouldn't listen to by choice. There's a lot of dross. I'm on some vinyl, and there's some there's just some stuff that I wouldn't do.
No, I get you. I'm trying to look at writing, freelance writing gigs at the moment, and I'm kind of the stuff that people want you. Well, when people ask you to do something for them, they usually have a set idea of what they want, rather than what I love doing is working to a brief that someone goes, I want to achieve this. I want something that makes people do this, and I'll go, great. I'm creative enough to write something that will encourage people to do something. But quite often they'll be like, no, it needs to have this in it. It needs to no. Those words are wrong, and it's like, well, why don't you write it then? If it's like my friend's a designer, and she's always getting people to come and sitting over her shoulder and kind of going, no, move that up a bit, move that to the left. No, that's it's too busy. It's like, no, she's got a degree, man. She's like got years of experience working for blue chip companies. Just tell her what you need to.
Well, one of the many extra jobs that I do is a freelance copywriter, and it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
And clients will always they'll go, hey, write this email for me. I'm like, cool, no worries. So you start writing, and you're like, blah 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 blah. I'm going to use all your buzzwords that you like, and then they come back. Like a day before it's due to go out, you've been chasing them for a week, going, "Hey, how do you feel about that new one?" Yeah. We'll get back to you in a minute. I haven't quite read it. Then you'll get 2 days before the email's due to go out to thousands of people, and they're like, "We have got to change this. This is wrong. We, Mike, you really have to get a move on, mate."
Yeah, I get you. I totally get you.
I was fucking here for a week making YouTube videos when I could have been writing for you, but you didn't, you fucking dingus.
But this is the reason I started my comic, is because I want to do...
Oh, what a segue!
Look at that.
Ladies and gentlemen, king of the segue. That is the best segue I've ever had in this podcast, and now I'm lifting the curtain on it. I don't care. That's fucking glorious. Carry on.
That's stand-up comedy technique. That's literally... Where's the link? I would come up with an example right now, but I'm a bit rusty. I'd be like, so I'm... I was born in Scotland. And speaking of Scottish people, James McAvoy's good in X-Men, isn't he?
Oh, look at that.
I mean...
It's fucking good, that.
I'm
currently reading Truth in Comedy, because I'm trying to become a funnier human being, because I think that my improv is lacking, and when you're playing hours of games a day trying to make fun out of them, or fun with them, you just feel a little bit burnt out after a while. And it's like,
what's Truth in Comedy?
Definitely.
Who's that by?
I'll have to go and get it. Hang on. You vamp.
I'll talk. I'd just like to be here and say how pleased I am to be filling this dead air on behalf of Mike Orvis. I think it's actually one of my major dreams to have been filling up the time with speaking. I mean, where we had that brilliant segue, I feel like we might have. It came close to actually.
Oh, we've completely fucked it. But
it's alright. I'll bring in another one later on. It'll just be like, pow! Oh, look, focus.
Truth in Comedy, the Manual of Improvisation. It's written by Chana Halpern, Del Close, and Kim Howard Johnson.
Oh, crikey! I'm showing my ignorance here. I don't know any of those people.
It's got a lot of people on the back of it. There's a dude from Modern Family and 2 Saturday SNL alumni that are like, "This is how you improvise." And I was like, "All right, I'm going to learn that."
I mean, there are so many books on improvisation and so many classes. There's a group called Hoopla who run up in London who I did a couple of scratch nights with once when I was in an improv comedy group. And they were really, really fun. They did get some guys from Chicago over, and
wow.
I used to think that I was amazing because we used to copy what we saw on Whose Line Is It Anyway. And then you realise that actually, no, you're scratching at the surface of something that is very, very deep. And it's all about just kind of responding naturally to...
Yeah, I was told that you don't... This book has said, don't look for the joke.
Don't be funny, yeah.
Yeah, just go with the scene. Which is cool. But then I'll watch something like Game Grumps, and those 2 guys have been trained in improv comedy and comedy. They've got fucking TV shows and shit, and then the way they riff on each other, and I'm just like, God damn it. And it helps that they've got each other. I think I'm probably, in my head, I'm funnier on podcasts than I am when playing Beardy No Mates, but people seem to like Beardy No Mates, all 12 of them, so I keep doing it.
Well, this is where I'm like, I've got 78 likes on Facebook now.
For what, Sandy?
78 likes for, I don't know if you've heard, Mike, but I do this comic called Talking Shapes, and boom! That was another segue! Oh, wow, look at that. You set me up for that one as well. I thought that was a good assist. I mean, I'm wondering if people have like, I was going to say tuned in as if we're in the 50s and we're still using wirelesses then. I wonder if people are now listening kind of going, I'm sure he's going to talk about his comic at some point. Like, but
Let's
maybe,
just not.
Maybe
Let's not.
Yeah, let's keep it teased. Which, by the way, is a common thread in wrestling, which is something else that I used to do. Where you drop the idea that, the guy's going to interfere, but then, no, he's not going to get in. And then later on, when you're least expecting it, pow, he's hit you with a steel chair. And, like, you tease the thing that...
I'm sick of that happening. Anywhere I go.
Steel chairs
Asda,
in the face.
I'm picking up some broccoli. We now know that that's a wrong premise because I clearly have never eaten broccoli. I'm just getting my groceries, which is mostly just anything that stems the void.
Has anyone
anything
eaten
I can shame eat and cook in about 3 minutes? But I'm there. I'm getting like ice cream and anything frozen and probably a steak if I'm feeling saucy, and then
Nice.
bam, out of nowhere, Mrs. Goggins, aisle 9, steel chair.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
It's always the old people as well because they're carrying them around because they might want to sit down at some point.
I thought it was a Zimmer.
Yeah, you're often mistaken.
Yeah.
I think that's how they get away with it.
Yeah.
They think.
And I was listening to some synthwave, not my own band. That would be weird. And I'm like, yeah, the 80s was cool, wasn't it? And then I just hear like from the corner of like just my left side, I just hear shit, and then just bang, and I'm fucking whoa, all right. And then Mrs. Goggins has got me on the ground. And then a ref came out of nowhere from the fish counter,
right,
slid over the top of the fish counter, and starts like counting me in. So obviously I had to decker, because I wasn't going to lose, because got a title match next week.
Naturally. None of that happened though, did it?
No.
But it could have done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what is key to improvisation, I think. Is kind of going, this didn't happen, but what if it did happen?
Yeah.
And then pretending that it happened.
Acting.
And responding like naturally, as we were saying, like because that's an entirely natural situation that could happen to anyone.
I regularly think about those kind of things. Do you go off onto some, like when you're in your brain?
Right. Yeah.
Right, when you're in your brain.
When I'm sitting there
in your boat, having a paddle down Brain River. Yeah. When you're in your brain, you're like just chilling out. Do you go off on fantastical segues in your not the mode of shit transportation, but like
I have to say,
do you think like oh what would happen if ninjas appeared when you're in like the supermarket and you go, I've only got these crumpets, I'm not really going to be able to fend off ninjas with crumpets, I'd have to go to the home aisle to get a pan.
I mean, quite often there will be long periods of silence at dinner when my wife and I are sitting and eating, and then I'll say something. Sorry,
I'm just imagining you both at a long table. Either side of a long table, just some classical music playing in the background.
Jeeves, could you pass my wife the salt? And I will say something. I'm just trying to think of an example now, but it's a case of she thinks either we're having a quiet moment, which is nice, or that I'm ignoring her. But what actually is not happening, what actually is happening is that I think we're having a conversation. Because I'm sat in my head and kind of going, actually, case in point, I started, I basically just said to her this week, I was like, but what if the Enterprise, the Starship Enterprise did have a marketing department? And she went, what? And I was like, well, I've not been saying these words out loud, have I? And she went, what are you talking about? And it literally came down to, this is a spoiler alert, I have been writing a bit recently in the Talking Shapes comic about a misunderstanding about Lieutenant Uhura's position. Because she is on board the Enterprise, the communications officer, and people keep asking her to, patch them through to the Klingons' open hailing frequencies, but actually she's got a PR degree, and she's clearly, if she gets asked her advice, presumably, what if there had been a misunderstanding, and actually she goes, well, actually I think we should engage in a a viral marketing campaign. We should send out some press releases to the Federation Telegraph, giving our spin on the Klingon Federation conflict. And then, like, Spock's in the corner kind of going, Captain, I must question the logic of including this department on board. But I realised that I had not been having this conversation with my wife. I'd been having this conversation with myself near my wife.
Mate, I relate so hard. It's one of the joys of ADHD is that on a good day, when my brain is running at optimum efficiency, I'm having 7 or 8 thoughts at the same time, and then there'll be an overarching conversation while I'm thinking about a song part, while I'm thinking about a cool drum beat that I want to try and learn, while I'm thinking about what I'm going to write a comic about, while I'm also thinking about editing a video. But I'll have a conversation, and then I will do exactly what you've done, and I've done it with friends, and I'll sit there and go, yeah, but Sonic can't jump that high. And I'll go, what? And I'm like, and I get annoyed because I'm like, have you been fucking paying attention?
Yes!
You haven't been speaking. You've been driving, dickhead.
Yeah, like I think, but what a great thing, you know. This is what I really have enjoyed more recently. Is I think for a long time I have been trying to be famous or renowned for something. And it's probably why I've tried so many different things, of being a stand-up, wrestler, musician, and I've kind of always dabbled in these things and done some of them for longer periods of time. But something I recently realised is actually life's here to enjoy rather than just get people to tell you you're brilliant. So coming back to, you've got 12 followers on Beardy No Mates. I've got 78 likes currently on Talking Shapes. Hey, maybe more after this podcast. But actually, those 78 people are people who really enjoy what I do. I would much rather have those 78 people than 100,000 spam bots that have been bought by, David Cameron or whatever when running some sort of PR campaign. But actually, I really enjoy being in my own head. I really enjoy having those moments if Sonic can't jump that high, or, what if Shakespeare didn't understand geometry and he called the globe theatre the globe because he went, that's what a globe looks like, isn't it? Bit like donut with bits sticking out of it. That's what the Earth looks like, isn't it? And this is actually a weird thing, because to talk about social issues for a moment, I have always been a little bit this might be unpopular with many internet geeky type of things, but I've always been a bit anti-drugs. I've always been a bit. It's mainly because I have an irrational fear of the mafia, and I think anyone who's got connection to drugs is like, they must know a gangster. No, I want my fingers. But I totally respect people's opinions on drugs and stuff, and I'm like, if marijuana were legal in this country, then I'd be more inclined to give it a go than as it currently is. I've never done drugs in my life, other than the legal ones of alcohol and caffeine, because they're different. But what I find quite interesting is the way that people quite often talk about drugs, or specifically like weed, and kind of go, it's the gateway to a higher level of being, a higher level of understanding. And I asked my friend recently, kind of, who does indulge. I said, "What actually happens then? Like, how
partakes of the devil's cabbage?"
He does indeed. He huffs upon the grass of Lucifer. I just wanted to.
He looks up the grass skirt. We all know that popular picture in the grass skirt,
just
coconut bra,
guffing out narcotics. But he was saying basically it uninhibits your mind. It stops the filter of things that you have kind of going in the back of your head that you don't pay much attention to, and give them the same level of credence as other thoughts, which is why people end up
100%.
paranoid and kind of going, oh, what's that over my shoulder? And I was like, I do not want that. Have you lived in, have you seen my head? That, it sounds terrifying. It would be either, either it would be absolute, turning my already interesting incongruity mash-up thing that goes on in my head to the max, or there would be little to no discernible effect, because I'm pretty sure I don't actually have a filter at the moment. I just quite often I like to consider myself a large hadron collider of incongruous thoughts. Like, it's just, if I'm talking about something and something else comes into my head, it's those two things will meet, and they will either merge or they will not. And occasionally you come up with this Higgs boson of creativity, which, if you're interested, is what I was thinking of when I created this comic, Talking Shapes. Yeah. I mean, do you want to talk about the comic at any point?
No. No, of course I do. Of course I do. No, you've got to come on and plug your shit. I'd love to get you on a Beardy No Mates as well, because I don't see you talk much about games, and I'd like someone that's funny just to come in and just tell me I'm shit and be funny about it. You can be the Ray Peacock to my Jim Sterling. You won't know what that is. That's fine.
No, no, Ray Peacock. No, Ray Peacock was Ed Gamble's double act guy, wasn't he? Who's Jim Sterling?
Oh, all right. Jim Sterling's a very, very funny guy. He's a game reviewer. Gets very angry and dresses up in costumes. Jim Sterling's sort of something you have to experience to be properly explain it to you. Cool. He's got a show called The Jimquisition, and he talks about bullshit in the games industry. Very passionate, but also loves boglins and pogs.
See, I love video games. What I love is
all 12 of them, which I will now list. Mickey Mouse's Mystery Dungeon, Pocket Men, Travel Cup, Hodder, Nickelback, which was a terrible spin-off of the band, and it really, is that a game? Is what killed video games that's why we don't have them anymore. No. Mario guys. Look, we already mentioned Sonic, obviously. Sonic the Hedgehog.
No. Let's come back to. There's a Nickelback video game.
No.
What's happened? Well, I'm confused.
Sandy, I've made up the last 6 bar Sonic.
Mike, I'm very confused. I consider you an authority on all of these things. So I was like, no, come on, let's do this.
It didn't. So it didn't tip you off when I said that's why there's no more video games.
No, I've got that as a kind of, oh yeah, that's quite funny, but maybe
I said there are only 12 video games.
Oh man!
And then proceeded to list them.
I got confused because you said they had like 12 followers, and then I was like, maybe I've just skipped a beat.
I actually have 104 subscribers. Like, I don't want to swing my dick around. I know that's pretty much a big deal.
That is 26 more than I have on my...
You will surpass me in 2 months.
Who knows?
I've got some friends called the Super VR Bros, and they do, as you can imagine, VR content.
Right.
And the minute they started their channel, I was like, "You're going to destroy me," and they're like, "No, man, yeah, like you're really funny, and we really like what you do." And like, they're good mates of mine. And I was like, "No, lads, you are going to fucking destroy me. It's VR. Like, you're going to destroy me." Amazing. And then I remember when their first video, it was like 3 months into them making it, and their first video beat like my highest scoring video, and I was like, "You'll beat my sub soon."
Wow.
And then I've got vidIQ, which is like a YouTube thing, so you can see people's views, and they're like more than double my views, and I'm like, "Yeah, I told you."
So that's what you need. You need to get into the VR then.
Well,
that's,
like one of my highest. Well, you say that, but like my highest viewed video, which is 230 something like views, is Shower with Your Dad Simulator 24.
Excellent.
And it ends on me leaving the room naked from the waist down.
Nice.
And then closing the door, and they seem to respond to that. I don't know why. I'll send it to you later if you fancy watching it.
Sex sells, you know.
It's literally just the ending gag is me just going, and you can see me quite clearly taking off my trousers, And I'm going, I just can't believe it's just senseless nudity in games just to sell copies. I mean, I don't agree with it. I think it's fucking disgusting.
That's good.
And then I'm like, right, well, anyway, I will see you same beer time, same beer channel. See you later. And I just get up, and it's just my bum walking out of the room.
But
I just can't. Like, I'm a little bit disgusted at everyone. I'm like, why is this my most viewed video? Like, I didn't put the most effort into this.
But it's often the way.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
But coming back to this, like a Nickelback video game. I mean,
I don't know. Let's Google it.
Let's make it. This would be a
Nickel.
It's a point and click adventure game. Chad Kroeger wakes up. He's got amnesia, and it's called How You Remind Me. And he's got to find clues
Photographs
about his
that
life.
He's got to look at.
And actually, it's got multiple endings, and you can change Chad Kroeger's destiny by
what?
Extrapolating.
They are right. Hang on. Sorry, Sandy. Sorry to cut you off.
Go
right,
on.
but I'm on their Wikipedia. Nickelback is one of the most commercially successful Canadian groups, having sold more than 500 million albums worldwide. Right, that's fine,
Yeah.
I guess. And ranking as the 11th best-selling music act, and the second best selling foreign act in the US of the 2000s, behind the Beatles.
Oh, that's sad, isn't it? Like, I mean, Elvis Presley existed.
Yeah.
Like, and Elvis had more UK number ones.
Yeah.
Hold on, Elvis was American though, so that doesn't matter. He was American, wasn't he? Yeah, he was. Memphis.
Yeah, Maryland.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe?
Maryland? That's
Maryland?
Dixieland. You're thinking...
Oh, I don't fucking know. And I'm thinking
Oh, I
about
wish
crickets.
I was.
Maybe I'm just hungry.
In a land of cotton. Old times they are not forgotten. Look away. You don't know the American trilogy?
I think
Elvis, Aaron Presley.
Okay.
I think the spirit
Going
of
back
it must
to-
have entered me.
Going back to
The Nickelback video game, the series.
No, we're not talking about the Nickelback video.
But it can be brilliant. Like you can change the fate of music. Imagine Chad Kroeger wakes up before he's formed Nickelback,
Yeah.
and he has to work out bits of his past. I have no video game creating skills, but I do have writing skills. So this is going to be a choose your own adventure book now, and it's going to be about the goal of the game is.
There is part of me that wants to put this on my blog. Like, I'm not going to lie.
Let's do this. I'm serious. Like, the goal of the game is to there are 12 endings. Only one of them in which Chad Kroeger does not form Nickelback. And your goal is to reach that 12th ending.
It's the Dark Souls of Choose Your Own Adventure.
Yeah, it's like no matter what turn you take, BAM! Oh no, how you remind me. Oh no, I just wrote Hollywood.
You get up and rub the sleep out of your eyes. Not sure of where you are, you've pulled again at the local metal night. You fall over a guitar that rings out a solemn but single G chord. You think, that would be a good start of a song. You pick it up and play that G chord. You have just written How You Remind Me.
Go back to page 1.
Go back to page 1. You have failed. Time spirals out before you. You suddenly gain the powers of titular character Dr. Manhattan, and you can see time simultaneously, both your birth and inevitable death, and all the Nickelback that happens in between that. Go back to page 1.
Fantastic. This has got to happen. It's got to be a thing. I mean, this is an unpopular opinion here, but actually, I don't think Nickelback are that bad.
There's a couple of songs that I'm like, this is better than I want it to be.
I will be completely honest, bearing in mind I was a naive teenager, but Silver
We all
Side
were,
Up,
Sandy. We all were.
when everyone was mad for it, I was like, okay, this is good. I bought The Long Road as an album. I hated Someday, but actually there's a couple of tracks on there that are quite profound, like Believe It or Not. Do you know that song?
That's a song by... That's the theme tune to Last American Hero, mate.
Is it?
Believe it or not, I'm walking on
That
air.
is not-
I never thought I could feel so
Right, this
free.
is not Nickelback.
That song?
No, I'm thinking, believe it or not, everyone has things that they had, and it's all like about faith and stuff, and it's actually kind of.
Sandy, that's really weird that you were taken over again by the spirit of Elvis, but he'd sing.
But he was singing Nickelback.
That's weird. That's odd. That's.
I mean, this has got to go into the choose your own adventure game. Like it's got.
You have summoned the spirit of Elvis.
Yeah, you've accidentally written "You ain't nothing but a Hollywood ham dog." Or, I could have had a stronger punchline.
Do you know why Nickelback is called Nickelback, by the way?
Sorry.
Do you know why Nickelback is called Nickelback?
Oh, is hold on. I think I heard this on Nevermind the Buzzcocks some years ago, which was that Chad Kroger was working in Starbucks, and people wanted a flat white quite often or something similar, and it was like $4.95, and they'd give him a $5 bill, and he'd go, "Great, and here's your Nickelback." Is that correct?
Oh, okay.
Is that the story? No, you were gonna.
I might be wrong, and I was.
Go on.
I'm gonna lift up my skirt and let you. I'm gonna lift up my hula skirt and let you see my hookah pipe.
Nice.
I was trying to make a drug reference so I could go back to talking about drugs.
Okay, cool.
I tried to do a segue and I failed.
No, it's alright. You know,
Are you happy?
not
Down here I am, naked, like Natalie Imbruglia, torn.
I was just going to say that's a good segue if we were about to go and talk about Natalie Imbruglia.
Not. She probably did some drugs.
She was she was in Johnny English actually, as the love interest.
Yeah.
Who Johnny English, of course, used sodium pentothal to get truth out of someone, which is
that is a drug.
It is a drug, which funny enough we were talking about. What were you going to say, Mike? Actually, you were going to say something about drugs earlier, weren't you?
I'll take it. Yeah, I was. Well, I wanted to talk to you about my experience because I was very anti-drugs and I am anti most drugs. And I hadn't smoked weed until I was 25.
Okay, I get that.
So I'd spent a long time. I won't go into it too much. It's a bit of a harrowing story. But when I was not the smoking weed bit, that was fine. But the reason I don't do drugs is I dated a girl when I was 16, whose both her parents were heroin addicts.
Nice.
And I just I was quite heavily Christian at that point, and I was like, I don't ever want to be so drugged out that I don't remember my own daughter or my family, because they regularly were. They didn't know who the fuck she was.
That's
She'd fetch them meals and they'd throw spoons and fucking use needles at her and shit. It's horrible. Anyway, massively against it, and then I kind of got semi peer pressured, semi like, come on man, just please try it once. You've got to try everything once. I'm like, well, I'm never going to try heroin. They're like, no, but this isn't going to fuck up your life. Just try this.
Go on, try a bit of heroin there. Go on.
So I did, right. So we're around and we're bonging it because they were like, you don't smoke, so it's not fair to make you smoke it. So we'll get a bong and we'll do it that way. So I was having a bong, and I was like, it wasn't working, and I was feeling like quite unsettled because everyone else seemed like to really relax, and we had some Coke on the Coca-Cola. Can you imagine?
Sorry, let's go full throttle.
Cocaine. And we're going to end the night on DMC. You're going to meet your spirit animal. Anyway, so there's Coca-Cola there, and it was vanilla Coke. And I was looking at it, and I was like, guys, have you ever noticed that the spiral, that the vanilla Coke symbol is a spiral? The Druids used spirals as part of their worship practices, and they went, "It's hit you then," and I was like, "Oh yeah." And then we listened to a whole load of prog. We listened to Court of the Crimson King, which is now like, it was already one of my favourite albums, but now it's like utterly one of my favourite albums, because this Getting High experience was the kind of high that Kevin Smith talks about, the kind of like, I am one with the cosmos, the universe is love, everything is brilliant. Yeah. And
Kevin Smith, another late comer to drugs, in fact, as well.
The way I, yeah, exactly, yeah. So the way I describe it, and I was describing it at the time, laying on a pillow, looking at my checkerboard window sticker in my old basement, and trying to make all the black bits go black, and make the white disappear, because apparently my brain had that power. I was like, yeah, no, you can do it, Mike. If you black, which is awesome. And I was like. So the way I described it, and I'll never forget this feeling, is that thoughts come into your head like from the top of your head. Imagine that, okay? So when you've got like one of our brains, or I'm not going to lump you in, but like as someone who quite regularly falls to bouts of depression or negativity or anxiety.
I think we've probably got quite similar brains, and like it's interesting you say you got ADHD, and actually I've never been diagnosed with ADHD because I think my mum didn't believe it existed. But the more you talk about your experiences, I go, shit, that's my head.
Yeah.
Sorry, you carry on.
You could probably go and see like a doctor. There's that you can treat it or you can learn to live with it. Now I've learned to live with it because being treated for it was the most degrading thing that happened to me. I was on Ritalin for 11 years, and there's nothing more degrading than when you think everything's wonderful and you've broken out and you're having like your brain is on fire and you're like, oh my god, all these ideas and everything's amazing, and then an adult bends down to you and they're like, Michael, have you had your tablets? And you're like, oh cool, you want me to be grey again, don't you? And then you've got that slow walk to the office where you've got to take your pills, and then everything slowly becomes monochrome and it's awful. Anyway, if I keep talking about that I'll cry. So so the drugs, I was like, so thoughts come in from the top of your head, and normally I'd be presented with something like I don't know, my mate's late for work, so I'll probably have to give them a lift.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, my negative brain is like, fuck's sake, now I've got to do this. Oh shit, I'm not ready. I wasn't aware this was going to happen. Fuck, you're such an idiot. Why the fuck were you late for work? Right. When you're high, or when I was high, all those thoughts would go into another part of the brain where it was like, it's all good. Don't worry about it.
Oh wow.
It's all good. So, and the very next day, I woke up and I was in a relationship that was really, really toxic for me. And I was at 25. I was a year off of getting rid, and I think I was about a year off anyway. It was a horrible relationship. We both really didn't love each other, and she was actually late for work, and she woke me up, like shook me awake, and I was still pretty high at this point, and she was like, I'm late for work. Oh, I've got to do this. I was like, well, I can't drive you. But instead of me being like, I can't drive you, you're an idiot, fucking, and getting like annoyed, I was like, well, I can't drive you. Just take my wallet. There's some money in there. Get yourself a cab. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Wow.
And I was like really kind.
Yeah.
And it was like I was kind without the filter of, and it wasn't just to her. It was like to my friends as well that were staying there. That we had quite a toxic relationship with them as well. That's why I don't talk to them anymore. But they were horrible and they'd make jokes, and I just kind of take it in stride instead of kind of internalizing it and being like, oh yeah, you are a piece of shit. They are right. Whereas I was just like, yeah, cool. Like you think that way, I don't think that way, but that's fine.
Right, but that was as a result of you doing weed.
Yeah. And I think there's they say there's like strains of stuff, and whenever it's very, very fucking rare, Sandy, that I'll do the weeds. And it's been a year and a bit since I've touched the stuff, but when I do, I'll get it from like one guy that I know, and I always say like, I want cosmic. I don't want to fucking sit on the sofa, giggle, and eat stuff.
Right,
I don't want that.
Got you.
Like, I want you to open my third eye. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to go on a...
That's another guy on the street you need to ask for that.
Yeah, so, fuck me. It's been 42 minutes and I haven't let you really talk about it.
I don't know. What do you want to talk about? I mean, we don't have to. We could talk about
You're going to have to come back.
I might do.
It's as simple as that. You might do. You fucking will.
I mean, do you want to start it again from here? You could just say, hey, welcome to Gentlemanly Chats.
No, fuck no.
And then
this is fun. This is fun as hell. I think people will want to listen to this.
Yeah, why not?
It's useful. So, recently, look, I've got like a list of things I want to talk about, but I don't fucking want to do that.
No. Let's go through the list.
Shooting the shit.
I mean,
no, man. It's fine.
Prompts. There's like a plan. That's like a, hey, that's sitting down with a client and kind of going, here are the objectives of this meeting. Let's tick these off on the agenda, and then there's AOB. It's just we've done AOB.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we've got plenty of other business, so we can.
One of the features of the podcast is Mike's likes.
I've seen Mike's likes or heard Mike's likes.
Sandy's a fan of.
What's this, sorry?
I was trying to make your name rhyme.
Sandy's
with something.
a fan de Coca-Colas.
Sandy's handy.
Sandy's handy. That's your third eye guy you need to go to.
Third Eye Steve.
Yeah.
He's great. Okay, well, so this week, what I do is because I try because these sessions, and they are sessions, these podcast sessions can end up being like essentially existential therapy between me and whoever the person is, and sometimes they let go, but 9 times out of 10 it's me just spewing out the black bile that is my own self-worth upon the carpet of whoever's the guest at the podcast, and I'm just going to deal with that. Cheers. So what I do is I try to, for at least 2 minutes, talk about something really positive. So I started Mike's Likes, and originally it was Nick's Picks, and it was Dave's Faves, and then Graham Likes things, because nothing rhymes with Graham.
How about Wardrop's Jaw Drops? I mean, that works.
Oh my god! This is why you're brilliant. Right. Right, so I should have warned you before the podcast, but it's cool. Mike's Likes this week. This week, I've only just finished playing it, and the episode's going to be going up on Beardy No Mate soon. But it's a game that's been out for about a week and a bit. It's Cuphead. It's been in development for fucking ages. For those of you that don't know, it's like a mascot platformer in the style of 1930s cartoons.
Wow.
It's got the rubber hose style animation, where everything's like fucking moving like a Betty Boop cartoon.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's fucking hard. It's fucking hard, but it's so good. It's essentially you travel from boss battle to boss battle, I think.
Cool.
And then there's a couple of like other stages where you can collect coins and like buy power-ups and stuff. But honestly, it's so fucking addictive. It's more addictive than Dark Souls 3, and I love and hate Dark Souls 3.
That's everyone's relationship with Dark Souls, isn't it? That's standard. That's worked.
But when you die in Cuphead, it's like it shows you your progress to how far away you were from beating the boss. Oh fuck, I was so close, and you're like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna fucking do it, and it's like it's just skill and patience, and you can learn those things. And so
you keep telling me.
It's fucking amazing. You can get it on Steam and Xbox One. I'm such an idiot, I forgot that Steam existed, so it came out on Xbox One, and all my Xbox One friends, all 3 of them, were like, fucking Cuphead is amazing, and I was like, yeah. And then this morning I woke up and went, Cuphead will be on Steam. Like, that's the first thought that entered my head. I was like,
it's good that you had that time overnight to process, I want this game, like, where do games go,
Oh yeah. So then I looked online, it was like $19.99. I was like, fuck. So then I went on Steam and it's 14 quid, and I was like, oh fucking A, right, let's do that. I was like, oh, sod it, and I wiped off my board of like, these are the Beardy No Mates episodes coming out. I was like, fuck that, Cuphead. Cuphead is exporting at the moment, and it's going to be a good one, I think. Hopefully people, those of you who don't know the format of Beardy No Mates, if I play a new game and you want to see me long play it, I need 5 people to comment, so they need to write down below, keep playing this, you dickhead, and hopefully people are gonna like it enough, because I really want to play it for the show. So that's my like for this week. What's making Wardrop's jaw drop?
Do you know what really made Wardrop's jaw drop this week?
Yeah.
Right, I came home last night from I had a terrible day at work yesterday. I had an argument with a colleague, low kind of there, but then I went to an audition for a TV show which I cannot name legally, but I was shortlisted, and that was a nice uplift that I came home to. But then I had to go to a meeting for ghost tours that I do elsewhere.
Excellent.
Because, why not have a go at that on top of everything else? And that was long and laborious of a journey to go to. The meeting itself was fine, and then I came home and there was no food, there was nothing, and I went, I'm going to watch something on Netflix that I have not watched before. And like, my wife was out, I was like, I can't watch something that we're thinking of watching.
You didn't just
again.
have like a big wank and go to sleep?
That afterwards, you've got to, build up to these things. Otherwise, what's the rest of your evening going to do?
Well, there is that.
Yeah.
A second wank after your
it's never as good. It's never as good, though, is it?
No, of course not. You're constantly chasing the dragon of the first one you had when you were 14, and your whole body erupted, and you went, "What is going on?"
But now I am late to the party on this. I totally get this. But
what, wanking?
You know what, Mike? I never tried it until I was 25. I was in a toxic relationship, and I thought, do you know what? At some point, I'm going to have an orgasm. I'm going to do it for myself. I watched last night for the first time, just to see what it was like, Sonic Boom.
Oh yeah,
I have never seen it before, And I just went, this is hilarious. I could not believe what I was saying. And I think it's incredibly poorly scoped. I think it's actually in many ways poorly written, but the comic pace and the rhythm and some of the stuff they were throwing in, I found myself laughing out loud at the TV for the first time in so long. And it was literally just down to Dr. Eggman, or Robotnik, or whatever you want to call him these days, who I have spent my life, considering a grave nemesis, who has sent me back to 0 lives and back to the Green Hill Zone Act 1. Do you'd be up in the casino, or you'd be up in the industrial zone, but then no, you've hit 0 lives, you're on the Mega Drive, you're not on your phone, it's actually straight back to the beginning. Episode 2, he turns up and is like, can I crash with you guys? And I was like, have you've seen this, right, mate?
I've seen random episodes. I haven't seen it in canon.
Season 1, episode 2, Robotnik Eggman. They can never make up his mind what he's called, right? But
actually, Sandy.
Oh, go on.
He was called Dr. Eggman right from the start.
Yeah, but his name is Dr. Evo Robotnik.
But no, not in Japan.
What?
Yeah. He was a lot of Sonic's lore was eked out in the West when Sonic became a comic franchise.
Oh yes, I remember.
Starting
Sonic
out in the Archie comics and then becoming Sonic Stays and then Sonic the Comic. Yes, so Ivo Robotnik, it was named by some guy from Sega of America.
I did not know this.
Yeah. There's a whole the stories, the backstory of Sonic in Japan and the West is completely different because Japan just didn't bother to tell anyone the story. They were just like, "There's a blue angel and he jumps."
It's a game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fucking game. Grow up. Whereas we like a story.
we need reasons. We need a motive. It's
what's my motivation? Standing at yeah, that's fine.
So,
that music's great, and Tails is my mate. But why am I here?
So I'm blue and I want to become yellow.
I saw an amazing little comic of Dr. Robotnik. He's standing there, and there's all the bad guys, and he's like, "Right, animals of the forest, I finally put every single one of you in a protective coat. You're now going to be able to roam the forest as you see fit, and none of that radiation should harm you. Off you go. You're all ready." And then one of them was like, "You didn't make it out of the hedgehog." Not resistant, the opposite to resistant, the hedgehog whatever metal again, did you? He was like, no, probably not. And yeah, that made me.
And then Sonic just beats the shit out of them.
Yeah, leaves them open to the internet. I commented on that on one of my Sonic Mania videos because I saved this rabbit and then it just jumped off a cliff and I was like, oh.
What's the point?
Yeah, why am I fighting Robotnik? Because these animals are safe in those robots.
Yeah,
and they're only attacking me when I'm attacking them.
Yeah, well, actually, that's not true, though, is it? Because if you stand there, there'll be that big waspy thing. It'll shoot at you regardless.
Yeah, but if you stand at the start of Green Hill Zone, there's nothing going to come and attack you, is it?
No, but if you walk through Green Hill Zone, eventually someone will just fire a random piece of radioactive.
It's never been the same since the riots, has it?
No, it's not.
you can't even go out and nip out and get a bit of fucking milk in the zone without some fucking great big wasp. It's bullshit. And I can't go round them fucking loop-de-loops, Sandy. I can't do it. So I have to do an awkward step to the side once I've got to the bottom of it so that I can move out the way. It's debilitating, really.
And then just people beat you up for even trying.
Yeah. I am one crab attack away from going full Hikikomori. I will just not leave this house and grow a big old beard and do everything from here. Just get everyone to just love me from afar.
Mikey, this is what you're doing currently, isn't it?
Yeah.
Damn. What a shame. I'm really sorry for your loss. But yeah, what else have I enjoyed recently? So Sonic Boom, that was last night, and I know I'm late to the party. I think it's an old thing, but I was just this is hilarious. But I am a big fan of. Actually, this is the thing. It's so I came on to talk about my comic. We might get there at some point. And I think probably the expectation is sometimes you get if I could call myself a comic artist, coming on with like, who are your your comic book inspirations? Like, who are your Alan Moores, your Stan Lees? Who's your big guy? And I'm like, actually, I have always enjoyed writing. I've always enjoyed reading anything or enjoying anything, like from books to games to movies or whatever. I really hate the elitist kind of thing of those video games will rot your brain, read a book, because like 100 years ago it was like, stop reading that fiction and be a prostitute, we need some money. So what I have been really enjoying, as I always enjoy, is Radio 4 comedy shows. So literally David Mitchell presents The Unbelievable Truth, which I think a new series started. Have you listened to that?
I haven't yet, no.
No, it's brilliant, right? So it's like, it's a game, and I think this is something we should do. We should have some games, I think. Let's do this now. We've got Nickelback. We need some panel game to... Yeah.
A panel game consisting of two people to play multiple characters.
Yeah.
I'm down to play multiple characters.
Yeah, I'll be Chad Croker.
Alright, I'll be Avril Lavigne.
But yeah, so it's basically a format where you have to give a lecture that's entirely false, except for 5 bits of truth that you sneak in.
Ooh.
And people buzz in to say, I think that's true.
Is that like off the cuff? Do you have any time to...
Oh no, so you prepare the lecture, you've got it written out, and then but the next thing is, you get comedians on there. So Phil Wang was on there this week, and then like Arthur Smith, and I think Sean Locke's been on it, and it was probably one of the first comedy panel shows I've ever listened to, which had an all-female panel lineup, except for David Mitchell, the host, and it was like smashing, because there's like this unwritten BBC rule that you are not allowed to have more than one woman on a show. And it's like, because that is their defining characteristic. They are a woman.
Yeah.
I find that very, very boring. But like, always, what we're talking Radio 4 is John Finnemore. Do you know John Finnemore?
No.
John Finnemore's souvenir program is currently what I would consider my general inspiration in life. It is the funniest sketch show I've ever heard, and it's just down to, he will take quite simple formats or tropes of fairy tales and like then interrogate them. Like he does a sketch where he's announcing the annual Sodomy Fest at Sodom and Gomorrah. He says like that last year we broke the record of number of attendees in the 6-hour orgy and the 12-hour orgy and the unlimited time orgy. As we know, we've not been able to set the record as it's still ongoing. But we've got a nice Mr. Abraham here who's come to tour the vicinity and report back on our work to God. So if we could really pull out all the stops to give him a good show, it's really, really enjoyable. I hope, is that enough? Is it enough to make your jaw drop? I feel like I've given some quite underwhelming examples after setting up.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's all good. They're just things that have made you happy. Usually I'm banging on about whatever band I'm obsessed with that week, but I'm kind of, I'm about to say that thing that wanky musicians say.
Go on.
I'm kind of just really busy writing my own music at the minute to not listen to anything new, which is bollocks.
No, let's unpack that. Like, why do you think that's bollocks to say?
Because it is bollocks. You've got to constantly have input. Like, if you're still in the process of writing, I think you should have input from like here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am listening. I am listening to new stuff. I just those words were coming out of my mouth, and I was like, oh.
But absolutely, you should have inputs that are going to influence you. But we are in a world now where there is so much stuff. Crikey, I thought that was a real sting then. That was good.
Where there's too much stuff. Yeah.
We're in a world where there's so much stuff that you cannot possibly consume all of it. And we're also in a world where people are telling you, listen to this podcast, you are not a worthy human being, listen to this band. If you are a writer or if you are a musician and you have not heard, if you've never listened to, I don't know, The Smiths or something, like, then you clearly don't, your understanding of the entire canon of music is false and based on bugger all. As a comic, I used to get people telling me all the time, like, you need to listen to Daniel Kitson. And I watched Daniel Kitson once, and everyone was going on about, he's art. He's like this incredible improviser. And it's like, actually, the jokes that he was doing were like, I look like a paedophile. And I was like, are you serious? Are you serious that this is incredible comedy? Like, and there's this pressure, peer pressure, of people to kind of say, you must listen to X, Y, and Z because they are worthy, and A, B, and C are not worthy. Such as Nickelback, for instance. I used to love Nickelback as a kid. I actually got annoyed at them with their third album because everything had like weird chorus effects on it. I was like, oh, you've gone a bit poppy. But actually, a lot of their tracks quite good. But in a pop culture way, I still find it enjoyable to take the piss out of them. Like it's a bit like kind of saying, oh no, I wouldn't own a Skoda, despite the fact they were bought by Volkswagen about 10 years ago, and they make 20 years ago now, I think, and they now make quite good cars. Like it's one of those things. So
absolutely,
what I'm saying is, don't beat yourself up for being like, oh no, I haven't really got time to consume other people's music, or other people's art, because obviously everyone's interested in shoving their stuff down your face. Sometimes to get stuff done, that's your third eye guy again.
When's that going?
Sometimes
I missed that.
Sometimes you've got to blinky yourself to actually get anything done, especially if you've got ADHD or if you are someone whose mind just runs at 100 miles an hour. Because I have had to stop reading satire at the moment for a bit because I'm trying to write a satirical novel, and I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I know what I'm influenced by, but if I'm not careful, I will start to imitate something that I now read, and it will change the dynamic of the novel that I'm writing. It's a bit like Metallica. When they came to do Death Magnetic, Rick Rubin went, right, go back to the 1980s or what you had in your own CD collection and listen to what you were listening to then, right? And let's get this back on track. And then they produced, I don't know what your opinion of Death Magnetic is. I'm a massive Metallica fan in general, but I thought it was an incredible return to form, for my opinion. But it was based on, they blinkered themselves to a certain genre of music. They blinkered themselves to things that they used to enjoy and took influences from them. So I don't think it's bad to like curate your influences or make sure you are consuming. But I think it's also equally valid to go, no, stop. I need to be a creator now. This is what I'm doing because this is good for me. I mean, I say that as a guy with 78 likes on Facebook and not performing it live at the Apollo.
So something that I think would be good for you to share, because you just shared that Rick Rubin story. Are you aware of oblique strategies?
As words.
I'm familiar with those words. I'm gonna send it to you now, but also I might put this in the description because this podcast isn't good enough to go up on iTunes. Deems the Lord Geary, owner of Geek Pride, but it does go up on YouTube. I'll put it in the description. But what I've just sent you is something called Brian Eno worked on it. It's called oblique strategies. So when you're stuck, Brian Eno will come to your house. Brian Eno, he's written these strategies that are oblique, hence the name. So I'm on obliquecard.com and I'm looking at it now. So I've just refreshed. Once the search has begun, something will be found.
Yeah, I get you.
Interpret that. So when you're stuck, interpret that as you will, and then move forward. I think that's a really interesting way of looking at it.
Discard an axiom. Are there sections considered transitions? Take a
There you
break.
go.
That's a nice one. I like that. Do you know what?
Take a break.
Imagine the music as a moving chain or caterpillar.
Yeah. See?
I mean,
That's what I'm talking about.
these are similarly things that I would imagine Bill Bailey to just say offhand.
It's just in life.
Yeah, like a kind of little book
The
of calm.
pheasant
Kind
has
of
no agenda.
into the
Right,
impossible.
okay, cool.
I'm refreshing these as I go. List the qualities it has. List those you like. There we are. I like that as a thing in general.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're ever stuck, then try that, because that's something that helps me. If I'm really struck, I'll be like, fuck, oblique strategies. Right, let's do it. And then I'll look and I'll go, oh yeah, cool, yeah, all right. Interpret that, weird brain. And then my brain will go blah 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 blah, blah and then give me a computer answer, and I go, thanks, brain.
Nice.
So yeah, I was going to end on something, and I've forgotten what it is now, and that's really annoying.
Do you want to end on talking about my comic?
Yeah, let's fucking talk about your comics. So what inspired you? I'm not asking that. That's a really fucking
no.
question.
What inspired you to write Talking Shape?
That gives me enough to work on, if that helps.
Right. Well, firstly, I just want to say that I love it, and I'm very what's the word?
Hold on, there's probably a lot of listeners who have no idea what this thing is. It's probably the
Sandy's got a
population
comic
of the
called
world
Talking Shape.
minus 78 people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could explain it, but I'm actually quite interested to hear what your interpretation of it is. So, why don't you explain for your listeners what it is?
So Talking Shapes is it's a Ron seal of a webcomic. It does exactly what it says on the tin. There are shapes and they talk. What Sandy has been able to do is break that barrier that I feel, or I certainly have, and many a comic book writer or aspiring comic book writer has, of fuck, I've got these ideas, or I want to be creative, but I want to work in a visual format. And I can't really draw, and I don't know whether Sandy can draw, but he can certainly draw shapes and make them talk. So he's really boiled down the process, and to me, it's like the Clerks of webcomics, because Kevin Smith didn't really, and this is, please don't see this as
no, you get this. I think I know where you're going, because actually I think this is resonating. But I'm interested in what you're picking up.
Good.
Go on.
Kevin Smith saw Richard Linklater's Slackers,
yeah.
and was like, fuck it, okay, if that's the standard, that means everyone can do it. And that didn't mean that Slackers was a bad film. I've watched Slackers, it's a great film. And Clerks is fucking great. I've got 37 tattooed on my wrist for a fucking reason. So yeah, like what Kevin was able to do was he saw the format and went, right, there actually aren't the barriers that I think there are. I just need to use what's available to me. And I think a lot of people aren't utilitarian like that. A lot of people will see, I want to be a comic book writer. No artist will work for free or do like a back end payment scheme. Fuck, okay, I guess I won't be a comic book writer then. And I think a lot of people creatively put things in the way. I'm a drummer. Do you know how many people I can make music with? I can't go, I've written this part. I do this because I'm an asshole. But I'll go, I've written this part, and then I'll have charted out some time signatures and go write something over the top of that. But that's because I'm using everything at my disposal. I'm now learning very limited guitar, and I'll record myself singing. Or I'll get people to send me demos. I'm going to sing over that, I'm going to change this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Anyway, what Sandy has done with the webcomic format is I don't know whether you can draw.
This is an interesting observation.
I don't have.
Keep going.
I don't have that knowledge. So, but what I feel is that Sandy has proven, as other people have, but I'm using Sandy as this example, is that you don't have to have fucking an art degree. You don't have to have worked for any of the big two. You can just go out and do the thing. And a lot of people don't just go out and do the thing. And I'm loving watching it evolve and grow, and watching Sandy started with a premise, and then he's kind of growing on that premise, and I love watching it evolve and watching little story arcs, and yeah, it's got all the makings of a brilliant webcomic. There are a few very brilliant webcomics out there, but this is one of them.
Oh, you're lovely, Mike. That is really, I was just looking for an intro, but you've given me a cool ass review. I mean, yeah, that's really sweet. So, Do you want to know the answers to some of those
What
questions?
love is, and
Right.
I want you to show me.
So, the reason I started this webcomic is because I like writing jokes. I like being funny. In my stand-up, though, I didn't write a lot of jokes. I did a lot of long-form rambles or stuff about voices, about like not being able to do accents. Whereas I really like doing accents, but I always get them wrong. And I'm like, the easiest accent, or the hardest accent I find to do is the Geordie accent, and go like, "Why, mate?" Because occasionally it'll go slightly Welsh, just occasionally slightly Welsh, or sometimes Jamaican. But in this hyper digital world, people consume stuff on the internet, and they consume it, as you say, in a visual format. And so, you know, you can get Twitter followings and stuff like that, and you post little jokes, but again, like, one of my biggest things is I ramble for ages. So I'm going to challenge myself to do something that is limited, so it's only going to be 3 frames or 4 frames, and it's going to work on what I can do. And as you say, you know, I've never, you know, I think I've got very basic drawing skills. I'm definitely not what I'd call a visual artist. But what I saw was that all over the web there are comics with stick figures in.
Yeah.
XKCD, Cyanide and Happiness, Sarah's Scribbles, you know, to name a few. But actually, what I was like, even stick figures I'll get wrong sometimes. Let's do something even more basic. And it didn't even start out as me wanting to do puns on geometry or anything like that. It was literally like, I'm going to have a triangle and a square and a circle hang out. And then the first joke the first comic on that thing, which is still on the website, talkingshapes.wordpress.com, is hand drawn, and it's literally like it's like a triangle and a circle kind of going, why are we basic shapes? Oh, I guess it's a cop-out for someone who can't draw. And then the triangle, I can't even remember which, goes to try and leave through a door, and it turns out the door is not a door, it's Frank the Oblong. And that is not a door handle that you're holding. And then afterwards, suddenly, year 5 maths came back into my head. And then, like one lesson in year 5 maths where we were working out what polygons were and like what a 13-sided shape might be, suddenly came flooding back in, and it all became about puns about geometry. What I'm starting to move away from, I'm starting to move away from that now, because I think there's only so far you can stretch something. But the whole point of it was always meant to be, I want to do basically sketch comedy, but in a way that I can do it on my own without other people and be only reliant on myself. Which, by the way, is why I ended up doing stand-up after doing improv for so long. I went, oh God, I can't be bothered to work with other people. I'm just probably like because I'm a terrible human being or something. But now, as I'm saying, it's just moving into characters. So this week, on Monday this week, there is a story arc that begins with a character called Superstar, who is a star shape, but is ripped, like he's properly hench, and is a wrestler. And it's 3 shapes signing up to Vince McHexagon's Wrestling Academy. Yeah, not all the puns are like A grade, but you need to have some C's in there so that A's really punch out. And like it goes through an arc of like him teaching the basics about how to do forward rolls. And so circle and octagon are great at it, triangle not so much. And I've got a really good arc coming up for Halloween, which I won't spoil for you now, but I will say it revolves around a costume party. There is a Halloween party that the Shapes have in Shapesville. I think Katie the Kite comes dressed as a coffin, and she has to get her hair to go flat. Like that's about as much as I'll give away for that moment. But what I'm doing at the moment is I've got 78 likes, as I keep saying on Facebook. It's growing slowly, organically, and I've got some really good advocates on there. But if I can get 100 likes by 31st of October, I am going to release a Facebook exclusive comic. You will only be able to find it on Facebook, not on WordPress. And it is going to feature what someone who apparently looks very much like an eponymous villain from Star Wars, and I'm thinking it will also feature his nemesis, Oblong One Kenobi. But I'm not releasing it until I've got 100 likes. That's
Hold your audience to ransom.
Yeah.
That I use that all the time. Here's a little peek behind the curtain. I'm killing off possibly one of my most popular playthroughs on my channel because viewer numbers are really dropping. So I'm like, if you want this, I need 10 people to comment to tell me that they want it, because then I know at least 10 people want to see it.
Well, you got to be able to track your returns, haven't you?
Exactly. You do something for 40 episodes. That's hours and hours of your life, and I need to make sure that people actually still give a fuck, because I don't want to put my heart and soul into it for it to fall on flat ears.
But this is where I'm at the moment. Is I'm like, I've drawn that comic with Oblong One Kenobi. And I'm enjoying it for myself. I'm keeping it to myself right now. I'm like, this is...
I like that I imagine that you've got like an old school desk with an inkwell. And then just every now and then, you get up from the sofa and your wife's like, Sandy, where are you going? You're like, I'm going to the desk. And then you walk over and it's just an empty room bar this desk. And this is where you pen all your masterpieces. And then you just lift it open with a big... And then framed... Is that comic?
Yeah, it is. It's there.
You just look at it and go, me. And then you just walk back out. And you come down. You come down and sit next to your wife on the sofa, and you're like, I'm fucking great.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The specifics there might be a little bit off, but the general principle is basically the same. I write all my comics on my phone, and it's literally Samsung Galaxy S6. It's nothing fancy. It's literally. I need to get it upgraded soon, actually.
That means the comics are suddenly going to become incredible.
Whoa!
We're
doing this in colour now. It's just an old black and white Samsung from the 50s. So this was the other thing, is I wanted to do it on a budget, because I was like, time is so important. People don't realise how much their time is worth, and
100%.
I will say this to people now, who are working minimum wage jobs. The only reason that your employer is paying you minimum wage is because they have to. They would pay you less. And actually, as a human being, your time is worth more than that. So if you ever get the opportunity to get out of your minimum wage job, I will 100% tell you that is what you need to do. But the thing that I'm working off is like I said before earlier, I don't have a lot of disposable income. I have a nice life. I have a lot of assets, but these are assets that the government probably quite happily rip through my colon if I start.
I have seen Sandy's assets, and damn.
So I didn't have money to buy a stylus, or certainly not a decent one. And so, literally, what I write I'm holding it right now, and you can't see this because we don't have our cams on, and this is an audio podcast. But literally, my stylus that I work off is a Sharpie wrapped in tin foil, and it's I kid you not. I will post a picture to you later if you like. And
I've seen it. I've seen you with it.
Oh yeah, I did wave it
on
Facebook.
Yeah.
And a lot of thought went into it as well, because I had to stab it right down so it wasn't scratchy on the surface of my phone. And it's it's like solid steel, now at the tip. I'm super proud of it. But I literally have a phone and that pen, and I think it's exactly what you say, that thing of I don't have a master's degree in writing comics, or I don't have the assets to create. I have great assets, as you say, but I can't create a blockbuster film. But what I do have, I can make something out of. And I think creativity is something that is not valued enough in this world at the moment. Particularly, with our government keep telling us things like creative degrees hold people back, and yet. As our government keeps cutting, I don't know how political you're allowed to be on this podcast.
Yeah, go nuts.
yeah. He's like, no, mate, we've got to remain neutral. But
the guards are on their way.
As the government keeps telling us there is less money, They will keep asking public services like police officers, local authorities to make savings, as they say. They don't cut stuff, they always make savings. And find creative new solutions for how we can use our money effectively. And the people who are good at it are not the people who are chartered accountants. The people who are good at it are not the people who've always the people who sit in STEM subjects at school. The people who they always ask for are people like us who are artists or creators or writers, because we have spent most of our life working to generally tight deadlines with people that are just as egotistical as us. Like, we've had to all learn to put our egos in check, whether we're in a band or in a drama group or whatever. Maybe I haven't done that because, as I say, I work a lot on my own as a stand-up or as a writer. But also working with little to no resource. And actually, the people who will save us in this world are the creative people. The people who will save the government are creative people. Because the people who generally are in government, I'm not saying about this actually in a particular party, because a political career lends itself to a certain type of person, typically. You know, a front-bench political career are usually... front-bench positions are typically held by people who have had quite a lot of privilege in life and have not had to be creative with how they manage their resources. And they will always, always, always rely on people who have that experience. And that's why I think creativity in this world is important. I think it's important that we do stuff for ourselves, not just for people on the internet. Like I say, I'm happy with the 78 people who like my page, because I know they like it for a reason. They make me feel good. I'd rather have that than 100,000 people who I don't know. But I like the fact that I can do something worthwhile for basically no money, because there are so many people who can't and think you have to throw money at every problem. And actually, we are the people who will help others understand how to value what little they have.
Yeah.
By creating this kind of stuff. That was quite a sanctimonious rant there, I think.
No, I like it. I like it. That's you've taken the place of me. I'm normally the one. So that's really helpful. It means I have to. I'm going to have to rewrite today. Obviously, for every podcast, I write down a rant. It's all pre-scripted, and the entirety of the podcast is me slowly trying to half Nelson the other person into a conversation where it's appropriate for me to have that rant. But this time, I'm going to have to just change a few things. I mean, they're pretty synonymous with each other. Just whatever subject I kind of decide. I've got a big dartboard of subjects, and I go, oh, politics, oh, feminism, oh, cool, right, let's talk about that. I'm pro-feminism, obviously, because I'm not a dickhead. But yeah, so
most people are pro-feminism. They just don't realise.
They just don't know. Yeah. Well, see, I was in a really just very quick story before we end. I was in a really awkward situation the other day because I was talking to a female co-worker. We were in a meeting. It's like 3 guys and her. That wasn't the meeting. It was like, oh, you're a girl. What's that like? We were having just a meeting about stuff, marketing stuff. And I was like, she said something, and I went, well, that's not being a very good feminist, is it? Like, we're all friends, like it's all quite a friendly atmosphere. And she's like, well, I'm not a feminist. And I was like, oh, right, okay. I was like, well, I mean, do you believe in equality? She's like, yeah. And I was like, well, then you are. And then my mate, and one of my few work friends, kind of said, are you mansplaining feminism to a girl? Fuck, you're right. No, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. And I felt very embarrassed and very, very, very stupid.
What did she say then?
She was kind of like, oh, we'll agree to disagree. I do believe in equality. Like, that's cool. Okay. But I mean, I had that chat with a girlfriend. She's I was a couple of years ago. I was in a like a pub drinking with this girl, and then she was like, we were talking about something, and then I went on a rant, and I was like, fucking SJW this and feminist that, and she's like, well, what do you mean SJW and feminist? And I was like, well, and I gave what my comprehension of feminist was. She's like, that's not feminism, you massive dickhead.
Wow.
I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, do you believe in equality? I said, yeah, well, that's why I'm a humanitarian, because I believe that we should have equality across both sexes, like all humans should be treated equally. She's like, that's what feminism is.
Yeah.
Like, what? And then she showed me some stuff, and I was like, oh fuck, you're right, alright, I guess I'm a feminist. And I was like, oh cool, alright, that's cool. And then learned about like third wave feminism and why that's like essentially misandry and blah 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 blah, Tumblr.
Oh man, Tumblr.
Fucking mate, we could go that and mental health tourism. I've tried to keep mental health tourism off of the podcast, because there is a epic rant coming from that, but
okay.
Mental health tourists make me sick. Anyway, right, let's try not bring it down. We've had a lovely time. Cool. Right, well, that's Gentlemanly Chats for this week. Thank you so much for listening. Sandy, it's been wonderful. I need you on this show again.
Let's do it again.
You'll make me better by, like, I think you've just got an aura of comedy that just makes me slightly funnier. Anything
I can do to give you a leg up,
Well, hello. So yeah, cool. Right, well, I've been Mike Orvis. He's been Sandy Wardrop. What do I normally say at the end?
You say something about beards
and
channels, don't you? Or is that?
No, that's my actual channel. It's Keep It Geek, and see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.